Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager part number 5906 extra heavy duty hold open stop arm in aluminum finish. So by the way, weighs about 5.5 pounds, so it's a heavy piece of equipment, and it's only the door closer arm. Removing it from the box here, let's take a look at what we're dealing with. This item is zip tied down to its packaging. Actually, very nice feature from Hager on this. We're going to remove it. Installation instructions we'll review as well. This video will serve as a visual tour and a dimensional tour of the item. We're going to talk about where you would use this and why you would use it. And again, this is the AL aluminum finish that we're looking at. Got that tucked in there pretty well, and I will tell you that more packaging is better than less. Who knows how many thousands of miles this has on it by the time it got in my hands. This is a big piece of hardware. Parallel arm hold open with a dead stop. This is going to give you everything that you need. Okay, so this arm is where the forearm, this is going to be a parallel arm type installation, and would be installed in an application not unlike this. It's going to look something like this when it's installed. It's a parallel arm mount only, and that means specifically that you're mounting the door closer on the push side of the door and the parallel arm portion to the soffit of the frame. Okay, this is going to include its dead stop bumper, which gets threaded into the parallel arm bracket, and a feature of this closer is that it's reversible. Okay, you can install the item for either a left-hand reverse or a right-hand reverse door, or a left-hand by right-hand, or right-hand, whatever the swing of the door is. They've got a cap in one of the two, so you'll obviously just position that wherever it's needed, and it's marked there for the hand of the door, so that when you install this, you're simply going to thread this into place. It's got some thread lock on it, so I won't go very far with it. Don't want to break the thread lock, but you get the point of how that's going to work. When this arm gets out into the position of it opening, okay, it's going to dead stop right against that button, and that's how these work. Fasteners are going to be included. Self-drilling machine screws, flat head. You'll get the screw to hold the main arm onto the body, should you need. You'll get a fifth hole spacer block should you need that as well, and it's likely that you will. That piece of plastic, a lot of people see those. Well, what that's for is, if you cannot get all of this installed onto the header, you might need that spacer block to go underneath the fifth hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the fifth hole. So that spacer block would go up here in case the width of the stop was insufficient for, certainly if you had a 4 3/4 frame, and very likely in a 5 3/4 frame, you're not gonna fit all of this onto the soffit or the stop. So you'll need that fifth hole spacer underneath here, is what that's for. Okay, now let's take a look at this item a little bit closer. See what we can come up with. First of all, got a couple of different monitors going here, I want to view the other finishes. So the 5906 can be done in the aluminum finish, the light bronze finish, a BRZ light bronze. Let's start over. ALM aluminum, BRZ light bronze, DBZ dark bronze, GOL gold. So 4 finishes in a sprayed finish. It's a non-handed parallel arm, forged steel, hold open function, stop arm. So this is going to give you really every sort of possibility that you're going to need when it comes to a door closer arm. In addition to that, what I'm doing is I'm unthreading the stop, the hold open functionality so as to disengage it. So if you don't want the door to hold open, you would install, let me get rid of the dead stop button. You can see that it now misses each other inside of there. But if I were to rotate that clockwise, I'll draw that ball out, and now we're going to make contact with the parallel arm so as to give yourself a hold open point, just like that. Disengage it. Obviously, you are not going to install this on a fire-rated door. It's not a suggestion. And I'm not the code police, but it's not a suggestion. You cannot have any manual hold-open devices on a fire-rated door, so non-rated only. A real great option for this could be an exterior door on a playground that you did want to hold the doors open. Recess is over. Push the doors open, hold them open, and then you just unthread it when you're done. Doors will close. Also has a dead stop feature in the sense that, again, as we talked, if you install the closer body and the closer arm, if you install it to create a dead stop at a certain degree, that's where it's going to dead stop and make contact with that rubberized bumper. Okay. Now there's, and by the way, the Allen key is included for installation. One thing I'd like to mention is it's very common that we sell these arms alone, not with a door closer. But be mindful first, before proceeding with the order, assuming that you already have a door closer installed, that you're probably going to need to review what you want to accomplish based on what you've already done. Here's what I mean. If you want the door to go to 180 or 150 degree, and you've looked at the installation instructions, you may or may not have a problem with where you have already currently installed the door closer body, because the physical positioning of the door closer body on the door is directly related to that degree. And we're going to go over the installation instructions. So before you place an order, be mindful of the fact that you may need to reposition that door closer body if you're changing an arm on an existing installation. Now, the rest of the extended description down below this video. And according to that extended description, we've got an extra heavy-duty hold-open arm, non-handed parallel arm, hold-open function, plunger hold-open, which means there's a spring-loaded sort of scenario that occurs between the holding mechanism and that ball bearing. Auxiliary stop in soffit shoe. That's the threaded insert that goes into the soffit shoe. This attaches to the soffit. That's what it's called, the soffit shoe. Forged steel can be combined with the 5950 spring cushion kit. So a 5950 is going to be, when you hit that dead stop point, you hit that dead stop point and you hit that bumper. There's rubber encased on here, and it will give a little bit, but that 5950 is going to be a mechanism that will attach. It will have a piece of metal that's got a large spring behind it, and it will give you a cushioning effect to slow the door down in that very last sort of degree before it gets to a true dead stop, and then potentially damaging the installation, the door, the frame, the hardware, most certainly. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the link below this video. First, this is used with the 5200 and 5300 series closers. Let's take a look at the product catalog. Of the 5200, let's take a stare at that. So when you look at the product catalog, you'll get to the pages where you can find the arms, the 5200 series arms, the 5300 series arms. And you can see all of the different arms that are possible there. So you've got your regular arm, and then you've got a variety of different hold open arms with and without dead stops, with and without that spring cushion. Okay? And I would absolutely study all of them before you made a final decision. First of all, you want to be sure that you can, again, like I had mentioned earlier, safely install it based on the potential of an existing installation. The 5906 is certainly a common arm. You know, I might be tempted to use the 5956. I'd like a little bit of spring give at the very end, as that cushion stop arm would provide. But if you need just a regular replacement arm, the arm that comes with it, it's a 5203. You know you're going to do a parallel arm installation, go with the 5911. It's a better option. Okay. And you can study the rest of that. The balance of the product catalog will show you the other accessories that may be necessary. For instance, a 5913 blade stop spacer if you're working with aluminum storefront material and need to have a spacer underneath the parallel arm bracket. The replacement long rod and shoe should you have a deep reveal on a top jam mount. Replacement parallel arm brackets. But drop plates, very typical and common. If you don't have enough real estate to get the body or the arm installed, look at their drop plates. That might solve the problem for you. Covers, replacement screw packs are all listed there. Okay, now let's get to the installation instructions, which are of course included with the paperwork. And you know, these installation instructions are basically the same as what you would get with the door closer, in the sense that they will go over the adjustments that you would have on an entire door closer. And installing this material, page 1 is an overview. Page 2 is where they get to the business end of what has to be done to get the 5906 installed, page 2. So, as I was talking about earlier, you can take a look at dimension A, and that's going to be really important to know. Will the 5906 work compatibly with where you already have existing holes drilled? So be mindful of that. Because what they're looking at is, what is the degree of door opening with that stop or without the stop installed? And that will dictate how close or far away you are from what they title as the hinge pivot, the center of the barrel of the hinge, the vertical axis of pivot. So that'll be important for you to know. And then, of course, that's going to give you the balance of the locations that would be important to mount the door closer body. And it looks like they're showing those. When you look at the 5200 and 5300, there are holes that are marked by just an X. That's a reference to a drop plate, should you be installing it with a drop plate. And there's a legend there that shows you the X or the sight, the circle with the crosshairs on it. Those would be drop plate mentions. And then the solid black holes would be a standard installation. So that'll lay out its B dimension that will correlate to where the arm needs to be placed. And that's really important. However, what's more important than the horizontal, because if you were off a 1/4 inch, as you can see from the chart, it really isn't going to change your degree of dead stop much at all. What's most important is the vertical height. You will absolutely want to observe from the frame stop down to the mounting of the closer body, whatever it refers to. If you've ever walked through a door opening and heard the arm clank on the top of the door, that's either a misfit arm, the arm's not properly attached to the body of the closer, or it's a misinstalled unit if it's a new installation, and that's difficult to fix at best. So page 2 is the business end of how to install this. Page 3 is nice to see because it shows you that 5th hole spacer that I had mentioned earlier. You don't often see those installed, and a lot of people get them in the bag and say, well, what in the world is this for? And then you try to install that 5th hole, and you say, well, that's a poor design. Well, it was that piece of plastic is where you're going to use that. Mentions again to drop plates, how to attach the closer in page 3, step 3 of page 3, how the arm should look. And you'll figure out immediately on page 4 where you're going to install the dead stop. Okay, you'll be able to see that in action once you get it threaded in. And scanning through the rest of the installation instructions, I don't see anything else that requires having attention called to it, except the last page will give you an overview of all of the adjustments that could be made to the standard body. Okay, so this is what this arm is, and a 5906 dead stop with hold open functionality. And finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Hager products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Hager, this is their part number 5906-ALM, heavy-duty forged parallel arm style dead stop with hold open, or any other Hager product. Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.